Hello, Prime Media audiences. This is your host, Ladette, joining you with a special guest today. His name is Dr. Mohammed Aba-Bulgu. I'm very honored that you have joined us, Dr. Mohammed. It's wonderful to have you here in our studio. If you could please introduce yourself to our guests, where you're from, where you've been. I'm sure you've been around, and how long you've been here, and so forth.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I'm not a media person, so I hope, but I'll try, my best.
Absolutely, no
to really, to probably, answer your questions and to introduce myself, and for the audience as well, to enjoy your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have already said, my name is Mohammed Aba-Bulgu. I was born in Jimma, that is in the southwestern part of Ethiopia, in the Oromia region. I grew up there, did my primary school and high school in Jimma, and then I joined Addis Ababa University, where I did a BA in management. That was back during Derg time, management. Because during the Derg time it is more socialism, so they don't want to call it business, so it's equivalent to a degree in business administration, what is called, I believe now it is offered as a BBA. And after teaching at a junior college of commerce for about 3 years, just about the time Derg was to fall, I went to Botswana. Oh, and I had an opportunity to go there, for a short course, but I never came back until after probably, 20 years to Ethiopia, or 20-something years in 2011. And since then, I've been coming back, to Ethiopia, but this time, I've been here, for almost 15 months. Wow. I came last year in the year before in 2020, in November 2020, came back. I lived for the previous, or I'm still probably say, living as well in Australia, I'm an Australian citizen, but that is just my passport. When I say that, I don't mean that, I don't have also loyalty, to Australia, but I appreciate it. The Germans say, where you bake your bread is your home.
Yes.
So I've been baking my bread there, but now, I think, I'll bake better bread here in Ethiopia.
Oh, great. Sounds great. Sounds great. Well, that's great. So how's your stay here for, 15 months going so far? How do you find Ethiopia in general?
Look, I found, the atmosphere is quite different, and people are really quite, happy, and I mean, that is from my own perspective, that is in my opinion. So other people can have, different opinion, and I mean, the government is also trying, people, to do really, the business community, to develop, business to be more innovative and so on. I mean, in our country, as the moment, we have some problems, like in areas of business as well. We have some shortages, in terms of, foreign currency, and also, some difficulties, in terms of dealing, with the bureaucracy. But in general, the current environment in Ethiopia is quite inviting, for business organizations, whether for people, who have ideas, to come and invest in Ethiopia and do the work. The country is quite, good, really.
Good. Have you been working in the Oromia region? Are you focusing your work there right now? If so, are the challenges the same, or is there different challenges in different regions?
As a business person, you would like, to invest, when you get, more returns. That is the general idea, the general concept. But also, businesses these days, they do have more objectives than simply making money. And I'm basically interested in any part of Ethiopia where I can make a difference. At the moment, we have businesses in Dreddawa. Dreddawa is a city administration. Mm-hmm. We do have a real estate business in Dreddawa. and also we do have a manufacturing business in Oromia. So I'd like really, to do more in Oromia because, truly speaking, Oromia is a what you call it, the economic engine of Ethiopia, and where the proportion, relatively the largest, population size is around Oromia, and a lot of things are around here. So the opportunities are abundant. So trying, to make, really, to make use of that to the society, or to the community that I was born in and grew up and so forth. Yeah.
Right. So what are some of the challenges that you have faced while you're working on, whether it's the real estate business or manufacturing business? And it seems like, sometimes when you have lived in other countries, people might get frustrated about the basic things that may take time. And so forth. What are examples of some of the frustrations that you've had, and how do you cope or deal with those situations?
Look, I'm very positive, by nature, so I never try, to compare with my experience, in Australia. Australia is an advanced, country. It's a developed nation, and most of the things are done, say by email or telephone calls, or sometimes by text messages. So when you come to Ethiopia, you need, to be really prepared that, emails are not very much in use. And most organizations here, they don't have their own, even personalized, email addresses. Still, Google, Gmail is used, as their, email address. So that shows, to what extent Ethiopia has really gone in terms of using, the technology. I mean, the IT, the internet, or whatever we call it, these days. So I know that, so I always try, even when I get up, in the morning, I say, today, I don't need to be frustrated. I don't need to be angry, with anyone because they haven't done this or that, or, So you need really to adjust, your mindset. That is very, very important. Probably, those are not the challenges. So the main challenge is really, here in Ethiopia, most of the things are done face to face. You cannot sit in your office, send emails or make a telephone call or whatever and get things done. So you need, to travel, and in Addis Ababa, that as well, the traffic jam is really high. So you can't visit, more than probably, 3 offices in a day, and everything, you have to go and talk, from for operating managers, to the higher officials. So that is really one of the biggest challenges. And also, people are not also, always, in the office. You go today, they say, he's in a meeting, or tomorrow you go back, you say, he's with the guests. And so availability or even access, to higher officials as well is really, a bit hard. But generally, if you are really patient, you can get things done. If you adjust, your expectations and your mindset, for Ethiopian culture, for Ethiopian way of doing things, you get things done. When I say that, that is the best way of doing things. I would like, things really, to change. Like, you should be able, to get things done, by email or by, telephone calls and so on. So. And the other thing as well, people especially, in public offices are not always, up to date, even, with what is going on around, even the public service. They may not have, the right information. So sometimes you feel like, you know better than them. When I say that, we don't have enough, trained people. Ethiopia has got enough trained people. Universities are now everywhere. People are really well educated. But it's always, being, up to date, with the workings of the government and the intention of the government and even of their offices is something that I feel is lacking.
Yeah. So it sounds like one of the major things when you decide to come to Ethiopia is to have a positive outlook and positive attitude and patience and understanding of the difference of what you were used to versus what we are facing in Ethiopia. So, what is the investment outlook looking like in Ethiopia in regards to we've gone through some political challenges, about a year of conflict and so forth. Where do we see the investment outlook for Ethiopia in regards to whether it's the diaspora investing or foreign investors and so forth? What are we looking at?
I read recently, I can't remember, the magazine, there was some article written, in one of these African media outlets, which talks about, the business outlook, for 2022. And in that paper, it's a very independent, media. It's not part of the Ethiopian government. It's not a prime media or ETV. And they put, in fact, Ethiopia as they put about 10 different things, in Africa where it is quite promising, to invest. They listed products, and also they listed as well a location or a geographic location in Africa where you should be investing, and it puts Ethiopia in one of those 10, opportunities, in Africa. So that shows that, the confidence of the international community or the African business communities, confidence, in the Ethiopian, business outlook. Yes, we do have a problem. Yes, we have got a problem of foreign currency. With all those things, and the conflict is not 100% over, the war is over, but still, we do have, it hasn't yet been fully, settled. But with all those, impediments, we are facing the business outlook in Ethiopia is quite promising, and there is no way of going back, to all be, going, forward. Number one, we have a large population, and our population is also, increasingly, educated now, and we do have a vast, untapped resources, and all. One of the areas that even international business communities worry about Ethiopia is the energy problem, but with now GERD, at least even if it is one turbine, so we will have, we'll have more energy, to feed, big, factories. And the Ethiopian Airlines is also actually, it's a major advantage, in terms of, doing business, even, for export, and other businesses. So generally, the outlook in Ethiopia is very positive, and I think, the IMF did not put IMF or the World Bank, they haven't yet put, a forecast, for Ethiopia, the growth forecast. But the fact is that, other African, business people talking about, Ethiopian businesses, show that, the outlook is quite positive.
You mentioned foreign currency challenges, and then we did mention about the conflict that Ethiopia was undergoing, through the challenges with that. Looking into the Oromia region, there's also security issues that has kind of made it difficult for investors. What is that looking like? It looks like the Prime Minister also discussed some of those points yesterday, and it's obviously something that needs, tackling. He actually described it as he described an example, a country, Colombia, as one of the examples where they had to deal with certain cartels in the community where they were using certain individuals to kind of run their own side businesses and so forth. So do you see that security issue challenges being overcome by the Oromia region and overall Ethiopia? And then what do you see, why do we have this foreign currency shortage? Because sometimes people just do not really understand the details of why we're having this issue and just get frustrated, probably most likely, we always tend to, blame obviously the administrators and things that we don't have clear understanding of. So if you could please dissect that.
In Africa, in most cases, I'm really sorry to say that. In Africa, we tend, to always, blame someone else or blame, the government, for our own problems and the issues. And but when I say that, governments do have as well responsibility as well. The government has a responsibility to facilitate, for example, businesses here, for us, to make life easier, to do business. The governments don't do the business for us. We do the business, but they do, prepare, the platforms and the the institutions and other things that help, business organizations. When it comes to dollars, yes, the conflict, has made it, difficult or more difficult, than than in the past. But the main problem with Ethiopia when it comes to foreign currency is the imbalance between our import and exports. That is what we call, the trade deficit or the balance of trade. I think, our export is in the past, or maybe a year or 2 years ago, it was about $3.5 billion, and our import is over $17 billion. So our import is about 3.5 times, more than our export. So what the government needs to do, or what the business community should understand as well, is that we need to be able, to export more of our products in order to earn the foreign currency. The government cannot simply, dig holes or to get, dollars and put it, on our table. So it's up to the business community to also, do the hard yard to be able, to export, our products so that we earn more money and import as well, what we need. And secondly, as well, the business community should be able to focus on import substitutions, that, instead of paying, dollars and bring things, from outside, to be, to produce, here in Ethiopia and avoid or minimize, our import. And there are also other things which actually, can help us, boost our dollars. Foreign investments are very, very important, because those people, they bring dollar, to our country, and they will have more dollars, in our country. And I think the Prime Minister talked about, having foreign banks, in the near future, here, in Ethiopia. One of the things that the world business, the international business communities were complaining about Ethiopia were two things. One was the telecom. The telecom was completely, monopolized by the Ethiopian government, and the other thing, foreign banks were never allowed, in Ethiopia in the past. So we have already, solved, the issue of telecom business. We do have Safari now here in Ethiopia operating, so maybe next time the Vodafone or other international telecommunication organizations will probably come as well. The banks is the next step, I believe. So the government is putting the right policy, forwarding the right policy, and it is up to us as well to use that. So we need to generally as a business community, we need to be open. We need to compete with the best in Kenya, not only Sudan or whatever, with the best in China as well. So it is mainly our attitude, our mindset that we can compete with the best in the world, not only in our neighbors here in Djibouti or Kenya and Sudan, as I said, also with those business organizations overseas. So that way we can certainly reduce the impact of the shortage of dollars in our country. And I hope as well the current conflict will end soon. And always, conflicts don't end by war or by fighting only, as the Prime Minister said, the other day, if we can save Ethiopia by fighting, why shouldn't we try also to save Ethiopia by, through peaceful means as well? You only go to war, when there is no other, alternatives. So having, the ability, to look at other alternatives as well is, I believe, a good thing for the country.
Yep. I agree. And in regards to hopefully having a more secured region in the Oromia region for business investment, do you think we can overcome that challenge and have the small the little insecurities that are happening around some of the areas settled? It is one challenge that the country is facing.
I'm sure the things are getting better, and we can hear it that conflicts are here and there. But what we need to understand is that conflict does not help anyone, whether those people who want to achieve anything through means of force, or whether people who want to even stir up the community by saying this and that, we are all going to be losers. We're not going to win by promoting inter-community conflicts or other form of violence in the community. But I think if you look at around here in Finfinne, Addis Ababa and the surrounding and so on, things look actually calm. Probably it's also up to you guys, like the organizations such as Prime Media, to really show that the country is getting even better, or it's peaceful. Like I've been here for 15 months. It's about 6 months ago, people, the BBCs and the Al Jazeera of this world were talking different things, while we're really going around doing our business without much trouble, without any trouble. We're saying that the Americans were telling their citizens to leave this country. But that wasn't really there wasn't any problem especially here in the city, in our capital city. So some of the things are really imagined. Yeah. Some of the things are quite exaggerated, and some of the things I said yeah. So things will get better, I'm sure, are getting better as well. But it is a collective effort, that will make, a difference. And business communities, generally business people, would like, a stable and a secured place, to put their money. Political risk is one of, the things that especially international business organizations, consider, in making decisions. So unless we appear to be, politically stable, we have little political risk, international communities, will not come. And it is up to the Ethiopian government as well, to show that, we are really, stable, and our security is improving. It's much better than, last year or 12 months ago now. And the government is also taking the necessary steps, to make sure that, the country will become, very, very peaceful. Mm-hmm. Not just peaceful, very, very, peaceful. And both, whether it is, whether it is in politically, diplomatically, or in every aspect, the government is taking, the right steps, and should be encouraged. And we need to be also in tune with what the government is doing. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Just one last question before we end our segment. We discussed about foreign investments such as banks and telecoms and so forth. For Ethiopian community, for Ethiopians, for myself including, that do not have a great understanding of all the financial benefits and disadvantages of having foreign, institutes coming. For instance, today, the previous ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Ethiopia, said we greatly welcome Dr. Abiy's discussion on, foreign banks might be entering, and this is something that, that he's been encouraging, including private land ownership and so forth. And I mean, for the ordinary people like me, it's very alarming, because this is we don't quite understand the inside of it. Would Ethiopians, ordinary Ethiopians, benefit from having these types of institutes such as banks and telecoms coming to Ethiopia? What's the pros and cons for Ethiopia?
Okay, I'd probably talk about the positive things about having, for example, foreign banks or foreign telecom companies in Ethiopia. One, you need to have competition. Not only competition within, like I said before, we need to try to be the best in the world. Try to be the best in the world, you need to compete, with foreign organizations, foreign business entities as well. You understand what I mean? So we need, foreigners to be here as well to see, how they work, how they perform the business, and compete with them as well to show, our strengths and to learn from them and to teach them as well. So we can't just simply be in a closed, business environment and try, to win, the international community or to win, in, the international stage. So that is why we need, foreign companies here. And for consumers actually win from competition, choices as well. I mean, in Ethiopia, it's, to be honest, having only one telecom company in Ethiopia is, to me, it's quite, it's really bad. But now, we have at least two. Even, South Sudan has about 3 or 4. It's not the issue of also numbers as well. The issue is that we need to have, very quality, service providers, in the business, in the competition. So in this case, I believe that, Safari.com, will be able, to provide that, good competition here. So we can learn from them, and also, they can provide, better, try to provide, better. When you are a single player, it's like a monopoly, so you don't really care. Even if the government, over the last 3 years, the price of even mobile phone calls and so on, they have really come down. And now with Safari.com, with Safari, Safari.com or Safari is coming, to Ethiopia, I expect, even the consumers, to win and to have as well, better choices. With the banks as well, about 3-4 years ago, I'm not sure if you remember, in Ethiopia, if you want to transfer 1 million birr from Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, say, to Awash or to, Oromia Bank or whatever, you need literally, take, 1 million birr, the notes, people, which every branch you go to, about 3 years ago, you see half of the staff sitting, and counting the money. But that has been now avoided. So now we use, what is called RGTS system. At least you can go to the bank and you can only fill, one form, and you can get, your 1 million birr, from one bank to another. That is a big step, I couldn't believe it, when I saw, people going to every branch sitting and doing that. When foreign banks as well come to Ethiopia, they will probably demand as well, a better, banking system. And they will come as well, with the better banking system. So now we do have like the e-birr, we do have like the telebirr, and other, electronic means of, making payments, But when foreign banks come, they probably come, with a much better as well system that we are used to, at this moment in this country. So we, they come, with those benefits. But if we look at the probably the negative side, or say what could be the cons, foreign companies, when they come to one country, they come in also to make profit as well. Yep. They're not charitable organization. Yeah. They're not coming because we are good people. Mm-hmm. They come here to make money. So when they make money as well, unless there is some degree of control, they take their profit. So But you cannot avoid that anyway. So in some cases, if you don't have a strong, financial intelligence, financial, control, probably, they might take, a lot of the profit, a lot of money, from the country. But at the moment, in this 22nd or 21st century now we are in, those practices are really minimal. But anyway, the government at that stage, needs, to vet, to make sure that, those companies, they come here have got, a great, track record in terms of transfer of technology, in terms of developing, the local business communities, in terms of employing, creating employment. All those things, need to be considered. So I'm not very much worried about the negative or aspect of foreign companies operating in Ethiopia. I look more, the positive aspect of it, even when they come as well, which come a lot of money. Safari, .com came, by paying a huge amount of money to the government. So that's the dollars, that we're talking about. So we make the gaps not only, by export, but also, by inviting, good foreign companies, into our country.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed. This has been a great discussion. I appreciate it. Prime Media audiences, this is Ledette. So let's cut. Prime Media audiences, this was my half an hour with Dr. Mohammed. I'll see you with another guest next time. Thank you.